Hey guys, I'm John and you're watching Johnny Fabs, and today we're working on our Datsun. As we seen in some of the last videos, we started a tubular front end. We got our shock tower plates tacked in right now, and then we're going to be fully welding these in and putting some Dimple dies in here. I picked up a set of Dimple dies, so we're going to try those out on here. And then I also went ahead and made this support bar to give it more strength on the strut tower. So yeah, in this video we're going to be finishing the tubs and boxing all this in, and then fully welding in our strut tower plates. So we're going to jump into it. So I went ahead and drew a center line, and then I measured where I'd like these dies to end up. And then we're going to go ahead and drill the holes, and then I have a hydraulic knockout to cut the holes to the right size for these Dimple dies. And for the smaller ones we just use a drill bit, and then for the bigger ones use the knockout. So we're going to do that. So once you get your hole drilled, we're going to use this hydraulic punch ram. It's got your mandrel and then a spacer, and then you're going to want to put your, depending on which way you want it to dimple, put that die on the top and then shove it in the hole, and then put your bottom die underneath, and then there's a nut to keep it, to pull it together. Thread that on. And then just use your hydraulic ram and go till it bottoms out. Once it bottoms out, just release it. Undo the nut in your bottom die, and you can pull it off, and then you'll have a flare. So on the smaller ones it's not as big of a flare, but you can still see it. Then progressively it'll get bigger. So we're going to do the next two and then show you how it looks. Now that we got the holes flared out with the Dimple die set, we're going to go ahead and weld this full plate in. We just want to do that because we had all this metal here and we wanted it to make it look a little better. So we're going to go ahead and weld this fully in. We're going to be using these trailer fenders to create our tubs. This one's 9-inch wide, that one's 10 3/4, and that one's fitting better in the back. So I'd recommend going with the bigger ones. You can always cut it down when you get in your car. But yeah, you can get these at Tractor Supply. And we went ahead and test fit this one. We're going to cut this edge off for the tire clearance, and we're going to end up bending it up, but it's fitting pretty good. This side's a lot easier because we don't have to work around the brake booster and clutch master. So we're just buttoning it up to the firewall. We're just going to weld that, and then we'll make our flat panel. But right now we're going to cut this edge off and cut it so we can wrap it around to the floor pan. So we got our piece in here got our clamps holding it, and then we made some cuts here, a straight cut. That way we could roll it down, and then we're going to make another cut here so we could roll it down up to our bottom of our support rail down there. We'll end up having to make up some little pieces here, but that's the only way to get it to shape around. So we're coming along. We can kind of see the fitment, and then we'll end up beating this up to hit our plate and then make room for our coilover mount. So it's coming along and starting to take shape. So we got it all fitted up. All the bends are done and cuts, and we're gonna start going ahead and welding it, and then we'll probably have to weld it and hammer it in shape up top, and then clamp it on the bottom so it rolls in to our floor support. So I'm gonna start welding this in, and then we can go ahead and make our panel for this next. So we just got this one fully welded in, as you can see, up underneath, and then it wraps around, and then it forms right to the body line. It looks pretty good, and then it's all welded in. So we're gonna make this piece, but I think we're gonna make our inner well out of the other trailer fender. So I already went ahead and notched it out for the roll cage, so that'll fit up nice, and it should leave this tube exposed in the engine bay and give it a nice clean look. So we're gonna start working on the front tub right now. We went ahead and cut the inside to match this radius of the strut tower. That way it's cleared, and then we can get a good weld around. Nice and good fitment, and then we're going to cut it probably right here, and then that should be it. We can weld it in, and then start making our inner panels. So just showing you guys the fitment before we weld it, and then we're gonna weld it and probably start making our templates for our inner pieces. So we just made up this inner piece here to enclose the wheel tubs, and then we made it a little longer and then wrapped it around. Just rolled the edge, and we're gonna weld it down, just sealing up the whole engine bay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start welding it up. So I have the tubs, the inner tubs welded in, these bottom plates, and fully welded to our tube. But there's this gap here, so I wanted to come up with a nice filler piece. So I went ahead and made my template out of this, and so I pretty much wanted to fill this gap in and then make a nice plate where we can, I already started it, but where we can include these dimple dies to match up here on our strut tower. So I'm already went ahead and did a few of them, drilled them out and dimpled them, but basically it's going to be a plate that kind of fills it in to just give it more support and give it a nice look. So I'm going to drill the rest of these holes out and flare them, and we'll get it welded on. So we got our plates welded in here with our dimple dies, and then everything is pretty much wrapped up on this side. And then we actually started with the driver's side, so that one was kind of our trial, and it was a little bit more work because we had to fit our brake booster and then our clutch master, so I had to notch it out and then re-notch it so we could get full travel, pulling this stuff in and out, and then our clutch master in and out, create room. And then we also underneath made it enough room for at full lock and full suspension travel. We're not hitting our tire. We're not going to have any rubbing issues. So this side did take a little bit more work, But that's all said and done, and I think that's gonna wrap up our front end tubular and tubbing video. I think that's pretty much it. And then we also have our strut support. I showed that in the last clip, but I think that's going to tie it in better to the frame. So stay tuned for us making our front clip, essentially, where we're going to mount our radiator, our intercooler, and all of our turbo stuff. So stay tuned for that, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this portion of the build. Please hit that like button, and if you made it this far in this video, comment Dimple dies, and that way I know you guys are watching the videos. So hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and peace.